Hey guys, Chong here, and today I want to talk about key bindings. The good thing about Guild Wars 2 is that there's quite a bit of options as far as your abilities go, but you generally only have about 15 to 20 at your disposal at one time. And with these 15 to 20 at your disposal at one time, you generally only need about maybe 10 to 15 of these things bound because of weapon swapping and things like that. So I want to talk about efficient ways to keybind, especially since you do have so many different ways to maneuver around and bind your keys. Well, it looks like we got disconnected here, but we still have this options menu up, so we're going to go ahead and continue on because we lucked out. So starting off with movement here, we'll see that I don't have the standard WASD movement keys bound. And that's because WASD, in my opinion, is a pretty ineffective way to maneuver around in these games. It centralizes your movement on the left side of your keyboard a little more, so where you don't get to utilize other keys that are toward the right side of your keyboard, and if you do utilize them, it's a lot harder to move your finger toward those keys. So sliding over the movement forward key to E, we can actually get a lot more maneuverability and a lot more keys that we can bind and access extremely easily. You'll see I don't have move backwards bound, and that's because I'm generally never going to be backpedaling, especially in a game like Guild Wars 2 where backpedaling isn't as fast as moving forward or, strafing left to the right. If I do need to ever dodge backwards, that's why I continue to have the dodge key bound. That allows me, if I'm not moving forward and I just hit the dodge key, I'll dodge backwards. You'll see I don't have my turn keys bound either, and that's because I turn with my mouse. So I bind strafe left and right, which are typically bound to Q and E, to W and R. You'll see I have about face bound to tilde. Now about face isn't as important to a necromancer as it might be to an elementalist who has burning retreat. An elementalist that has burning retreat might want to bind this to a a more suitable button that's a little bit easier to access, but I bind it to this button. I still haven't used it yet on my necromancer, but I have used it a lot on my elementalist. You'll see I have swap weapons bound to A. You need to make sure that your swap weapons key is bound in a way that makes it extremely easy to access. By binding it to A, it's readily available and easy to access. You'll see I have the weapon skills bound to their standard 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. By having my move forward key on E and my strafe keys on W and R, it allows me to access 1 through 5 extremely fast and easy. I bind my movements key to T because it's extremely easy to get to T. I can just move my strafe right key, which is on R, over to T extremely fast. You'll see I bind my utility and elite skills to S, D, F, and G. This is because they're right below the W, E, and R, and it's very intuitive to click them. You'll see I bind my profession skill, which is Death Shroud, to Q. Like T, it's an extremely easy key to get to with my movement setup, and since it's a defensive skill, I need it extremely quickly. Call target is normally bound to Control T, but I bind it to Z because it's something you need to click extremely fast. Especially if you see something like a mesmer, by clicking the call target button, it's going to help you kill the mesmer a lot easily. And I bind my take target to X. You'll notice F, which is generally the interact key, is bound to utility skill 3, so I still want to keep it kind of close and readily available, so you'll see I do bind it to C down here. Now, this is going to unbind a lot of your general character button and guild button and all that stuff. So I bind them to just random keys on the right side of my keyboard that I'm not going to use very often, because obviously you don't need to access those during combat very often, if ever. So moving on to something kind of important. Normally I would just click the fast cast ground targeting in options like this without even thinking about it, because obviously it saves a click. Now the problem with this is that since you are moving with your mouse, it will target skills that, at your mouse cursor's location. But if you're turning and moving with your mouse, oftentimes your mouse isn't going to be visible on the screen because the mouse cursor is disabled. So I don't have this choice checked. I played around with it for a while, but I'm always moving on my Necromancer, almost always. So I need to be able to ensure that I can cast a mark on any part of the screen at any time. And I don't want to stop to have to do that. It's going to cost me an extra click, but having to stop is extremely bad. You never want to have to stop. So, as of right now, I don't have this checked. Now, obviously this is personal preference, and people might be able to always remember where their cursor is, but it's gonna, like, just for me, in the, you know, very little experience I have with Guild Wars 2, this can actually be a detriment, especially when you need to cast something like a Fear, or while you're on the run, and you don't want to stop to have to do that. And this is just something to think about, like, just to make sure that you're not just checking boxes like these without actually thinking about the, you know, the different possibilities that you have with each option in the menu. Like me, who just checked this automatically because I was like, oh wow, I get to save a click. I will post like a little probably image with every little key on my keyboard that kind of tells you exactly what each key does. But I wanted to kind of explain my reasoning for each keybind in this video. So I hope you learned something. If you did, please make sure to follow my live stream and subscribe to my YouTube and follow my Twitter. Alright, appreciate it.